Hi, I'm here today to persuade you to introduce your children to Aerosmith music. And not just Aerosmith. I want to persuade you to introduce your children to all kinds of older music, all the older genres out there. Because although new music is being created all the time, it's important that parents introduce their children to music from their generations, because it not only cultures them, but it makes them more accepting of new ideas. Kids love listening to music, and it's extremely influential on their development. You know, when your child is first born, you should introduce them to kid-friendly songs or popular all-American songs like This Land Is Your Land, or other songs such as that. This Little Light of Mine, anything like that. There's kid CDs, and it helps with their development. But as they get older and they start to explore their options of music, you should introduce them to stuff from your generation. Music from older generations not only enhances your child's taste in music and broadens their horizons, but it's going to teach them history from different time periods. Personally, the majority of the music that I listen to is from older generations. I listen to Aerosmith and Motley Crue, Fleetwood Mac, not to mention stuff from the 50s and 60s, like the Four Seasons even, Frank Sinatra, and I listen to other genres like Tower of Power and country music, older stuff like Garth Brooks and Toby Keith from, you know, the 70s, 80s, 90s, stuff like that. It makes me feel more cultured, and it brings me closer to just a bunch of different types of people. There's older generations that I can talk to. If you don't know how to spark up a conversation, a lot of times music can be a great conversation starter. And it helps you converse with people older than you. You know, if you're not sure what to talk about, you're talking to some 40-year-old person and you don't feel comfortable asking about their job or their life or their family because it's a little weird, you can talk about music. It's universal, and everybody likes music. There are many reasons kids should listen to a variety of music from older generations. It makes them more cultured, like I said. It gives them a history lesson and allows them to be different and find their own taste in music so they don't have to follow the crowd. Listening to older music will culture your child and allow them to grow and have a large variety in music. And it makes them able, like I said before, not only just to talk with their generation, but they can get along with people from older generations or, you know, their grandparents' generations. Music is very powerful, and it brings people together. Many people become friends based on their music alone. You know, you could have something, you don't have to have anything in common with anyone, and then you start talking about music, and that could be it. Nothing else could be in common but music, and you could still be great friends with someone. Most of my friends became my friends through talking about music and having similar bands in common that we all like. An article from NPR said that kids love their parents' music just as their parents did. But it didn't just say they loved the music for what it was, the memories that come with the music. Like going on a road trip and listening to the John Denver CD all the way down to Virginia, or listening to Neil Young, or some Frank Sinatra, or being in the car with your mom and her driving you to the mall or school and she's blaring Bon Jovi. It creates memories, and as they're listening to it as they grow up, they'll remember these memories, and John Denver will remind them of driving to Virginia, and Bon Jovi will remind them of driving in the car with their mom down the road, you know? It's the little things like that that music can just enhance in your life. Music our parents listen to represents their generation and their taste. Same thing with our grandparents. Music represents that time it was made in. It represents the social issues going on, or what's going on in the news and the media, or the government even. A lot of music from the 50s and 60s talked about stuff during that time, like civil rights and the Vietnam War. It was huge. The music was also talking about social events. If your parents are born in the 80s and the music that they listen to, it's probably, you know, the stuff that they still sing today and listen to today that your parents are forcing you to listen to, or not forcing you, but it's just what they play in the car. And it's going to teach you about what life was like then. You listen to music from the 80s, you get a gist of what the 80s was like, how it was rockin' time, and there were parties in the Sunset Strip in LA with all the hair metal and the big hair and the tight clothing and the leather and neon. It's going to teach your kids what your time period is like. It's a history lesson. A lot of history teachers actually use music to describe what's going on at the time, because music is something that kids are interested to. It helps them learn about the history. It sticks into their brains. Along with history, music will give your child a chance to be different and stand out amongst the crowd and teach them they don't need to be like everyone else. Gregory S. Burns, the head of neuroeconomics at Emory University, set out to do a study to talk about the kids and their anxieties, because a lot of kids have anxiety about not listening to the popular music, which is ridiculous. But it's, again, the same thing with media making you feel insecure about how you look or something. Media can also make you feel insecure about what you listen to. So kids were shown songs without being shown their popularity, new songs that are coming out, and kids were played them, and the kids would rate them. And a lot of the kids rated the songs very low. But once they were shown their popularity, they re-rated them so that they were higher, so they would be, in with the popular crowd. Once they found out they were popular, they were like, oh, you know what, this song is actually kind of good. They changed their mind based on popular opinion. If you introduce your kids to your music or your parents' music or whatever you like, just give them the option, the choice to choose that kind of music. They don't have to like it. They might hate it. You never know. But it's better to give them the option than not at all. That way, they'll be more cultured. They can have these conversations with adults. They'll be taught a history lesson, and they can be different. Nobody wants to follow the crowd. That's one of the most important lessons you want to teach your kids growing up, not to be like everybody else, not to jump off the bridge if everybody else jumps off the bridge. So you don't have to listen to the same music everybody else listens to. Personally, when I was younger, I used to get made fun of a lot for the music that I listened to, because I grew up on rock and roll like Fleetwood Mac and Aerosmith, and I also grew up on country like Garth Brooks. So I was always listening to different stuff, and all the kids were like, why don't you know this song? Because I wasn't introduced to it. But I don't regret it. I love that I was brought up differently with different music, because it made me a different person. It gave me a variety of stuff to listen to. And all my friends now also listen to that music because their parents were the same way and introduced them to older stuff. Music is just very influential, and it brings people together. And it also can tell you how a person's personality is. You can just tell what a person likes, or, what they're feeling or their emotions based on what they're listening to. Parents showing their kids music will not only give them culture and teach them, but it's going to allow them to be different, and that's just an important lesson in itself. But it's also going to bring kids and parents closer together. Think about your first concert with your child, taking them to see Fleetwood Mac or the Eagles or the Doobie Brothers or Lynyrd Skynyrd, and the experience of going there and seeing your favorite band and remembering the first time you saw them, and now your child's first time seeing them. It's just an experience that you can't take back.